Hi, and welcome to another edition of Milestones Radio. Please, you're in for an awesome episode today. I have Jennifer Gimenez.
Yes.
I pronounced it right?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome. And Tim Ryan with
Hello,
me today.
thanks for having us.
Yes, we've got some serious stuff to talk about today. Milestones Radio is about good people doing great things. And I saw what the both of you are doing and the impact that you're making on other people's lives. And I want to talk about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
Well, thanks
so
for
honored.
joining me. I'm honored that you're here. So, all right. So, you've got a lot going on. First of all, Tim,
Yes.
your book,
From Dope to Hope.
A Man in Recovery.
Yeah, it's me.
Tell me a little bit about it.
You know, the book is basically my journey, and in a nutshell, I was a very successful business entrepreneur for 30 years, but I struggled with addiction, alcoholism, cocaine, and for the last 12 years, heroin addiction. Ultimately got sober in the Illinois Department of Corrections. I received my third DUI, overdose while driving, hit 2 cars, almost killed 4 people. Was sentenced to 7 years. I did 13 and a half months. I went in at 44 years old, and that's where I got grounded and plugged into recovery for me, which is a 12-step based program. And my wife divorced me. We lost our home in foreclosure, and I got out of prison and set up a nonprofit, a Man in Recovery Foundation, which Jennifer and I and a few other people run today. We guide and direct indigent people into treatment or pay for people to get into sober living. Started some support groups and started speaking. And then on my 21-month sobriety date, my 20-year-old son, Nicholas, died from an accidental drug overdose.
I did hear that. I'm very sorry
Yeah,
to hear that.
and in Nick's passing, he kind of solidified what I do today. And, I've been a guest to the State of the Union address. I've been on every news show you can think of. I had a documentary on A&E. And a little less than a year ago, I'm always looking to morph and transform, and I've been speaking in colleges and corporations, but it's just me. And I was looking for a female that could go in and impact the women as well. And I'd been following Jennifer for a couple years on social media, and I'd reached out to her, and at first it was strictly business. And I'm in the middle of my second divorce, and it was all business, and Jen will tell you, she thought, God, I thought this guy's a square.
I did. When I first talked to him, I've heard he was so funny, and we have a lot of the same friends,
Yes.
and they would say, "Oh God, Tim is so funny. Just wait till you talk to him." And when we had the phone call, I was like, "Where are you from?" And I was thinking to myself, this guy is so dull. And he's one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. But it was strictly business when we talked, for the first month until we finally met. And then,
Well, so actually I went down to Florida for work, and I told Jen, I'm in for 2 days. We'll get together, grab lunch or dinner, and I blew her off. I got busy. Well, a week later, hey, thanks a lot. You're just like all the other guys. So we started talking. And after a 2.5-hour conversation, I said, check your text message. And she said, what? And I just purchased a ticket to come meet her in Florida. When I flew down there, she picked me up at the Fort Lauderdale airport. It was literally love at first sight.
Well, that's wonderful.
And we've been together ever since. And for the past 10, 11 months, we
11.
have been everywhere in the country. We just got back from 18 weeks on the road. In 10 months, we haven't been in one location longer than 13 days. We just got back to LA.
That only happened once, by the way. We were only in one place for 13 days. He keeps saying it sounds like we kind of do little stops. We don't do any stops.
No, we're everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we work in the treatment space. We work for a Better Life Recovery and a mission for Michael in San Juan Capistrano, which is a substance abuse, and they have a true mental health program. We run a Man in Recovery Foundation, and Jennifer and I speak all over the country to middle schools, high schools, colleges, corporations, but there's so much more than that. I mean, just in the past 2 weeks, Jennifer filmed the Doctor's TV show that happened to air today. She just did a TED Talk in Naperville, Illinois. This gal is changing the game, but what we're trying to do is drop the stigma, and what people don't realize, and I'll be quiet, is Jen was one of the first people that started this whole movement when she originally was on Celebrity Rehab and Dr. Drew's Sober House on VH1.
Okay.
Well, thanks, babe. That was so sweet. I don't even know. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
Well, I'd like to hear more about your what you're working on and what you did on the doctors, because the one thing that interested me is and when I saw your article about Adderall in Hollywood, and that totally piqued my interest because I have a son that was diagnosed with attention deficit years ago, and my husband and I did not like the person that he became when he was on Adderall, so we took him off.
That was great. I'm really glad that you guys did that.
The school system did not like it, though. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to add that in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my background is that I was discovered modeling when I was 13 years old. I went from growing up in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where there's dirt roads and cobblestones and donkeys running around, to becoming a supermodel overnight. So my world instantly changed, and I was a supermodel. Then I got into acting, and my first breakout role was a movie Blow with Johnny Depp, and Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise, and Charlie's Angels. I mean, I did all these movies, and one of the things that happened to me was I was suffering from addiction, and I didn't know that I had a disease I was suffering from. So I was very anonymous about my recovery and my using through the years. And I started getting sober when I was 21. I'm clearly not 21. I'm in my 40s now. And it took me a very long time to finally get sober and stay sober. I ended up going into treatment for 5 days, I thought. And I went to treatment, and I ended up staying 9 months. I did relapse in treatment, and then I came back. So there's a 10-week break. And when I came back, my bottom was such a low and hard and harsh bottom. I ended up in the psych ward. I ended up hanging myself. I came to, and I was in a 5-point strap, and because of the fixation, I couldn't speak. It took me 3 months to form sentences. My brain worked perfectly. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. From a wheelchair, I went to a walker. I went to a cane, freely learned to walk 5-6 months later. I shook profusely for 9 months. I had no control of my bodily functions. And seriously, it was like I was a girl in a glass box. I felt trapped because I wanted people to hear me, but I couldn't control anything. So cut to one of my doctors there, happened to be a doctor by the name of Dr. Drew, who helped change and save my life. And he was doing these shows later on. And when I was 2.5 years sober, he did a show called Celebrity Rehab. From that, he did a spin-off show called Sober House, and he asked me to run the house. Okay. And it changed my life. And I didn't know breaking my anonymity on a worldly scale would, create this movement. And I would become part of the awareness and the movement that we have today. One of the things that we did on the doctors is they wanted to talk about the Hollywood aspect of Adderall. And, they asked me if I had done it, and I was like, yeah, I did it. And of course I did it. But it always led to my gateway drug, which was, my gateway drug. That was cocaine. That was my drug of choice. However, I think today, in this day and age, people are being prescribed. A lot of people have ADD. I have ADD, but I have tools today on how to I don't take anything for it. Right. And it's so, these doctors today just so easily want to prescribe this and not give people tools to learn to cope with what's going on.
You know what? It's what you said also. The teachers. You have teachers at school saying, oh, your kid's ADHD. You need to get him medicated. Everyone wants to be a doctor today. And doctors are either for it or against it. But the problem is, too, we take our kid to the doctor. You're meeting with the doctor 5 to 8 minutes, and they're writing a script. When I was a child, when we're all kids, I spent a half hour, an hour with my doctor. Right. And everything today, there is a pill for everything. And you're putting kids, their brains aren't even developed till they're 25, 26 years old. And Adderall is basically crystal methamphetamine in a legal form. It is the same exact drug.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Adderall at times, it helped, I thought, and I thought then I'm like, oh, and I'm getting skinny and I'm staying skinny. I have a lot of energy and it's like I'm really concentrating, and then I would take another one because I kind of want to keep concentrating. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden I'm taking 3, 4, 5 pills and I'm not sleeping. So I need to take pills to come down in order to sleep. It was like an Elvis cocktail, I call it,
Yeah.
But people don't realize how easy they can get get hooked on it. And, you know, a lot of times people want to say, they say to me like, oh, you know, Hollywood brought you down. Like, Hollywood didn't bring me down. You know, the entertainment world did not bring me down. I brought myself down in Hollywood and in the entertainment world. The pressures I put upon myself. Today I have a lot of pressures. You know, I'm still in the entertainment world. I'm still in Hollywood, and Hollywood doesn't bring me down. I have to be very clear with that, you know, but we're always searching for that perfection. You know, we want to be perfect in life.
Well, I think that a lot of that has to do with our social networking sites.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
This has been, on our radio show, this has been a conversation that has taken place over and over and over. And how can we filter that out? Because everybody just puts their best on social media.
Oh,
that is it.
You're going right into what Jennifer just did this Saturday in Naperville, Illinois. She did a TEDx talk, and it was on the filtered world.
Yeah.
And that'll be up on YouTube in a few weeks. But the problem is today, and she can get more into that, this device in my hand here, this cell phone, this is what kids are raised on today. When you and your husband are traveling the country, walk into a restaurant, you'll see mom and dad and their 2 kids having dinner, and they're all on their cell phones. And for the kids, it's instant gratification today. How many Facebook likes am I getting? Instagram, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, I think it's for everyone. Everyone's always seeking that like. You know, back in the day, for me, it was fake friends. Now it's fake friends on social media, you know, and it's like, how many likes? Like, how did I get it? You know, did I get that one extra like, you know? And we do all live in a filtered world today. And how do we stop that? Well, we talk about it, and we actually make some kind of changes within ourselves in order to talk about it.
Right.
And that's been a really interesting thing. Like, we have rules. Like, when we go out to eat, we're not on our phones unless we're working and it's like work hours, or we know we're going to get a call. But otherwise, we try to be present for our experiences in our lives. You know, of course, social media exists, and it will exist, and it will always exist. I think, you know, in 10 years, there'll be a whole another thing going on. But if you think about it, like, everyone's always looking for the right filter and that right picture. And now I'm with somebody, my fiance loves to not use filters and take awful pictures of me and then just post them.
I did that today.
He did it today, actually. And like, I have no say in it anymore, you know? And it's good, you know, because it makes me feel humanized as well, you know? It's a struggle, you know, especially coming from, that's how I was raised and brought up, you know, and this illusion that, you know, my voice didn't matter as a model. Today, my voice somewhat matters, and I have a voice, and I can use it.
Well, you're definitely living your life with intention now.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
The interesting thing is, though, too, being in the, I never, you know, 7 years ago, I was an inmate in prison, and I got out and thought I'd go back into the technology space. I never thought I'd be doing the things I do today. But I'm in the public eye, and now, you know, engaged to a supermodel actress. Yeah, it's a bigger level. But the amount of hate that is out there,
yeah,
because Jennifer and I are in a relationship, because we're happy, because we're traveling the country. But the thing is, there could be 500 comments on a thread, and 498 are positive, but people hone in on the 2 negative ones. And we've learned just to shut that down, you know. PR's PR, you're going to get bad, you're going to get good, but we don't focus on that. I can't change what other people say or do. I know what we're doing. Our phones ring 24/7.
Yeah.
We assisted 6 people into treatment today that have 0 resources. That's what we do. We just want to help and take our pain, which are now our scars and our battle wounds, and show them proudly and speak proudly. And you know what? You don't have to make the bad choices we did. And there is hope out there. And that's why when we're speaking and touring the country, I mean, it's not just some drug and alcohol talk. We're moving people, and it's being a leader, not a follower. And these kids today, the anxiety, the panic, they don't know who to talk to. The kids today, the bullying.
Correct. Yes, the bullying.
So we're hitting on all this
I get
stuff.
really irritated because, you know, I mean, I've been bashed my whole life. You know, it's all been about what I look like or what job I did. I was taught I was only as good as my next job cover campaign. And, you know, today, what I do for a living helps me get water and put gas in my car. And, you know, who I am on the inside, there's so much more depth and weight to me. And, you know, when I hear these kids about how they're getting bullied, it pisses me off because there's these internet trolls that sit behind their computers and do nothing but just bash. And I'm like, come to my face and tell me about this, because I want to protect all these kids.
Right,
you know? Like,
right.
And I know, I just think it's so important for us to, you know, and especially parents, to be very vigilant about what their kids are doing and being on top of it. You know,
Be into
like,
their technology. See who their friends are.
Yeah.
And what Jennifer talks about, too, is she's a voice for the voiceless. The people that can't get up and speak or are afraid to. Or the one thing we try to do, just put your hand up and ask for help. And you're a product of the 5 people you associate with. So if they're 5 losers, change your environment. Right. Hang around people that make you a better person, that support you. And I got to be honest with you. I came out of prison, I got in another relationship, and I'm a workaholic and had another daughter, and she's a gift. But Jennifer really helped me say, look, Tim, you've been given and given and given. It's time for you to take control of your life and enjoy some things. And we got to go to Hawaii, actually on a vacation, and turn off the phones. But you know what? I didn't become 51 years old, 7+ years sober, to just give. And today I can enjoy the simple things in life, and we can enjoy quality time together. And tonight we get to go to a 12-step based meeting. And in California, they give you a cake for being sober. And I get to have some of my friends give me a cake. And what a great experience, you know?
Now I'm hungry for cake.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So.
I hope it's chocolate cake.
Yeah. Life is good. You know, we bicker and banter, but Jennifer's made me a better person. I know I make her a better person, and we just want to make a little difference in the world. And we want our dash to say, you know, not supermodel, celebrity, professional water skier, you know, guy with an office in the Wrigley building. We want to make a little bit of a difference and help a few people. That's it.
Now, the number that we've got up on our screen, right there.
If you...
Those seeking help. Now, is it all encompassing?
So here's the problem you run into. This is for Better Life Recovery and a Mission for Michael.
Okay.
It's our direct line.
Who we work for. But if we can't help people, we will guide and direct them.
Okay.
We also have a Man in Recovery Foundation, 844-611-4673. We guide and direct. 90% of the people we help don't have resources or don't have health insurance. But there's help out there. Just reach out to us. I mean, you can email me directly at maninrecovery@gmail.com. We will help you.
Or you can get a hold of us on social media. That's always the best way to get a hold of us.
Okay.
Is through social media at Jennifer Gimenez, Gimenez, on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Is there anything else I'm missing on those social medias?
No, but Twitter, A Man in Recovery, Facebook, Instagram, Tim Ryan, Dope to Hope. Yeah.
So, and I mean, we're so blessed. I mean, we were talking about that today. Even though we've been traveling so much, we're in the works of doing a reality show, a docu-series right now. We're filming some other shows in the next couple of weeks, and
we've got a ton
life's in
going on.
session. It's really exciting.
And
it's very much so. And you're making such an impact. Just wonderful. I'm just so proud to be here with you.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks for having us, because it's shows like this that one person, I guarantee you, is going to call up and say, you know what, I'm going to ask for help. Or Jen said something, or you did, or I did, or it gets shared. And you'd be amazed at the calls we get. And I'll ask people, how did you hear about me? Well, a friend of mine saw you speak here, or saw this on YouTube, and I know saw your girlfriend on this show, and then they call, and next thing they're on the road to recovery. That's what it's all about.
And addiction isn't always just something blatant and, you know, I mean, and that's the one thing that people need to understand too. Addiction can be ever so slight. You know, when do you know that you need help?
Well, I feel like there's many aspects of it. For me, you know, there's many bottoms you can hit. For a lot of people say, "What was your bottom?" I said, "I've had many, and I still probably have another bottom left in me." You know,
No,
I'm not in the midst of wanting, or in the I have no curious thoughts of wanting to find out if I have another bottom. But I can't say that I wouldn't. You know, but it's really how you're feeling inside and what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. You know, it could be, I really do believe also that we're all addicted to something at some point, you know, in our lives. And it doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. But if you're doing something because you're trying to cover the pain, you should really take a look at that. You know?
Okay.
That's a really big factor for me. Like, why are you using, or why are you shopping so much, or why are you working out so extensively? What's really going on?
What are you running from?
Yeah.
But a lot of it pulls back to there's some form of trauma. either emotional loss, mental, spiritual,
Right.
physical, or sexual. And unfortunately, people are drinking or using drugs or overeating or gambling or pornography or compulsive shopping or OCD or whatever. They're masking some form of trauma. And you need to learn to walk through the pain, have the right resources, the therapy, the treatment, whatever, to get through it, to get to the other side. And if it starts affecting your life, quality of time at work, with your family, with your friends, chances are you got an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
You got to understand, I was a guy that, had an office in the Wrigley building making a ton of money, and I had a $500 a day heroin habit. Nobody knew. No one knew. And the few that did never said anything because I was good at what I did and they didn't want to disrupt the work.
Well, I think ignorance is bliss. A lot of people still don't want to confront that. If you see a friend that's struggling, or your employee, or especially employer or
Right,
employee,
right.
like, you don't want to ask your boss, like, hey, do you have a problem, boss? People are so afraid of that. And it's like, what are we afraid of? Because if not, we're enabling them, to go into a grave.
We actually do a talk on that to corporations called HR's Worst Nightmare. The
Okay.
same scenario. We talk about and empower corporations how to, whether a coworker is struggling, your manager or your boss, and how to approach them to get help.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. You guys have a lot going on.
Yes, we do.
So tell me a little bit more about your TED Talk that you did.
So my TED Talk, it was, I've never worked on anything as hard as I did with my TED Talk. And I've done a lot of great things in my life. I'm very blessed to say that. But I literally poured my heart and soul. I feel like when I finished that TED Talk, I left my soul on the stage. I wanted to talk about the filtered world. I wanted to talk about beauty and what is beautiful. A lot of times, again, we're all in this, I need to look a certain way, feel a certain way, instead of being comfortable in our own skin where we're at this right moment. And I literally, my different categories that I talk about in the TED Talk, which comes out in a few weeks, and I can't
Okay.
wait to share that.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that. It resonates with me, that's for sure.
I
So.
talk about, losing people in your life and what they taught me, who taught you things, and why do you define what beauty is to you? Meaning the filter, what's beautiful, is having a house beautiful? Do you feel beautiful? Do you feel good in your skin? What does that represent? And who taught you that? Really, who taught you that? So I go into, my modeling and they taught me how to that sex sells. And I'm 14 years old and I literally don't even know, what sex is at the time, but I'm selling sex. And I talk about losing children and losing people in your life, death. And I talk about, what they say is don't cry. You have to show up to the job. You can't grieve. I talk about, it's a lot deeper than that. I'm trying not to give it all the way away.
Okay.
I talk about eating disorders. I talk about being anorexic to obese. I talk about sobriety. I talk about addiction. I talk about being sexually assaulted. I talk about being a Latin woman and feeling discrimination. I've also talked about being heavy.
Who else did you talk about?
I also
Who else did you talk
I
about?
talked about you, baby. I talk about, rebirthing and what that was for me. I talk about being discriminated when I was heavy and by women of all people, and
Oh yeah, I can attest to that.
and it's
That-
harsh.
It is.
I mean, people treated me completely different, and yet I found my soul at the same time. I found a foundation, and I call it my sobriety, and no person or place can take it away from me as I was getting heavier.
So when we were meeting with Arthur, I did a TED Talk 3 years ago, and Arthur became a good friend of mine. So I introduced Jennifer to do this talk, and it went totally different angles. And myself and Jennifer and Arthur sat down and went through 500 pages of photos. And we started seeing these photos, and she's like, oh my God,
they would ask me, what's behind,
this
what
happened here.
What happened
Okay.
here?
And that's how the talk came together. But I will tell you, for the past 3 months, the past 6 weeks, it's been practice.
Hours
and
and hours,
every
every day,
time she
70
would go
hours.
through this, there's 3 times in it. I'm crying. I'm getting in it. If she talks about it now, it still gets me emotional because I understand the pain she went through because in her own way, shapes, or forms, I went through my own. But to see her on the other side and to see what she's doing now and to be fully transparent and drop the mask, and I call it get butt-ass naked, and share her truth and her pain with the world out here, because this will be seen worldwide. it takes a lot of stones to do that and to be truly authentic. And I'm so damn proud of her. Just wait.
Well, I'm looking forward
That'll
to
be
it,
TEDx
Jennifer. I am.
Naperville,
Thank
Jennifer
you. I really,
Gimenez.
that means a lot to me. You know, I literally gave, and it's interesting because there's, with the direction, I'm working with two men. You know, the director, Arthur, and Tim, my other director. I had to call him, he made me call him Mr. Ryan. Mr. Tim Ryan, Sir Boss Director. And he would be like, I'm the director here. Like, it was hilarious. But I was sitting here working and spilling my guts, you know, to two men about things that I as a woman
Well,
have
and
experienced.
that's very, very difficult to
But
do.
they made me
Yes.
feel so safe in that time, in that area, and those, like, that air. It was such a beautiful feeling that, like, I could never take that experience and, like, ever experience that again. Like, to feel as safe as I did with him and Arthur. Well, I'll always hold that so close to me. But there's notes you have to, you know, there's things you have to reach in every story
Every
that I'm
picture,
telling. So it was just constantly memorizing and feeling, and, like, you know, the story, it's not like, so this is what this means and it's the law of science. You know, it's like literally reliving every moment. And yet keeping my composure, and, like, I couldn't, you know, so it's okay. I had to be completely raw and transparent and vulnerable. And I'm so blessed that I had a room filled with 1,500 people that allowed me that opportunity to do that. So hopefully,
What a
you know,
very nice
people,
blessing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it
can
was
take
amazing.
something from that.
Now, people want to find you. We know they can look up the doctors and watch the show. So in a couple of weeks, your TED Talk's going to come out.
Yes.
What piece of advice would you want to put out there? If you had one thing that you wanted to let our listeners and the individuals that are watching our show, and thank you very much for joining us today, what is one thing that you would like people to know? And after, I'm going to ask Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's really important for people to know that they are not alone in life and whatever it is that they're going through. And it's okay to feel humanized and to be vulnerable and to feel power from that. You know, I always say to people that, you know, if you're going through a tough time, I get it, me too. And I just encourage people to try to get to know who they are. And in that midst, realize that they are so loved and that know that they matter. And, you know, they too have a story to tell, and whatever it is that they're going through in life.
Right.
And that I can honestly say I love them and I wish nothing but the best for them.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Tim.
I'm always dealing with people in addiction, and, you know, if you got a heartbeat, you got hope. Don't ever give up on anybody. And you know, what I learned from Jennifer is everyone's beautiful in their own way, shape, or form. And, you know, start loving yourself. And don't ever give up on a loved one or a family member or friend. And if someone's struggling, talk to them. Treat them with love and grace, and open that conversation and walk through the fear. And there's help available, you know. You don't have to go to the depths of hanging yourself in a psych ward or going to the Illinois Department of Corrections to get sober. Mm-hmm. We were both introduced into the 12-step programs at 21 years old. But we hadn't had enough pain, and you can end that pain immediately. Just put your hand up and ask for help.
Okay, very good message. Well, here at Milestones Radio, we do focus on good people doing great things. So you both are truly, truly making an impact and building. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We definitely have a future together.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
I mean,
thank
this,
you.
Heidi, this was, you know, we've had this in the works for a while, and I thank you for reaching out and having us come on here, you know, and this is just the beginning of many things we'll be doing together.
I'm very honored to be with the both of you today.
Thank you. What a blessing.
The book, From Dope to Hope, A Man in Recovery. Tim?
Get it on Amazon. Great Christmas gift. Great Christmas gift. And the thing is, the book, if you have a family member struggling, it's going to people in treatment centers and prisons. I mean, look at the reviews. It's a game changer, and I just wanted to write a book to help people.
And we are here to help. There's a number that you can reach out to. If you feel that you're lost and you need help at all, you can also reach us at Milestones Radio, Milestones Life Transitions. So that's at www.milestonesradio.com. I got a couple thank yous. Thank you both for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my engineer today.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay!
I love your name. Shay. I'd like to thank my husband, Zan, and my assistant for this week while
Thank you,
we're
Zan.
on the
Yay,
road.
Zan.
And I'd also like to thank Tony Sweet for
I love
allowing
Mr.
us
Sweet.
to utilize the UBN studio, and he's a great friend. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Stan Diggs for
Thank you,
introducing
Stan.
Yay, Stan.
Stan rocks. Whoop, whoop.
Hodo Media Group. You can reach him at hodomediagroup.com. Stan's a great guy, and I'm very blessed that we have met through him.
Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, Stan's awesome. And hey, if you're interested in having Tim and Jen come to your community and speak, timandjennifer.org. 844-611-HOPE.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.